Do you know, it is what the king absolutely had to do, but I am a bit surprised. I'm surprised by the prince title being removed. I remember
Mm.
being on GB News a couple of weeks ago and I was thinking, oh, I wonder if they'll change it to Windsor or Mountbatten. Well, it's both. It's both Windsor and Mountbatten. But I have to say, I just didn't really think that they'd do both at the same time. I thought the Royal Lodge thing would eventually happen because there's been such pressure going on week after week to
Yeah.
strip him of Royal Lodge. But to then take away the Prince title, I wasn't really expecting that, and certainly not a double blow at the same time. But I think what's happened is this has gone on now for week after week after week, if not year after year. But on every day is another headline. He had to be so utterly decisive and to really draw a line. Otherwise, I can see headlines continuing for another 3 or 4 weeks or months. So I think he tried to do everything he could in one fell swoop.
Yeah, isn't it funny, Charlotte? I'm sitting on this panel with a couple of current affairs and political veterans, and all of us can remember a time when we talked about the extended royal family.
Yes.
There were far too many royals. It all needed to be slimmed down. And Charlotte, frankly, there's almost no one left now, is there?
There isn't anyone left. I was thinking about it today. I don't think there's any working members of the royal family under 60 other than the Wales family. I think, when you discount William and Kate, there's a big jump. They're all a lot older. We haven't got any kind of new and exciting young ones. But I actually think that this is a good thing because, and I think this is what Prince William will do when he's eventually king, is the more you have, of course, the more likely it is you'll have a black sheep, you'll have an Andrew or a Harry. So if you keep it to just the bare minimum royals, A, it's less expensive. You don't have to give out these houses. You don't have taxpayers complaining about peppercorn rents. And B, you can just contain the amount of, I suppose you could only really say stupidity and bad behaviour. And there is always somebody in every family. I mean, this is obviously next level. But I really think the next chapter for the monarchy will be the Wales family and basically nothing else, because they've got 3 children, and when they grow up, there'll be enough working royals amongst the 3 of them and their children.
Yeah.
Breaking news: royal earthquake. King Charles strips. Prince Andrew, of all titles, and evicts him from Royal Lodge, London, October 30th, 2025. By royal correspondent, shockwaves rippled through the United Kingdom today, after Buckingham Palace issued an unprecedented statement confirming that His Majesty King Charles III has formally stripped his brother, Prince Andrew, of all royal titles, styles and honours, ordering him to vacate the Royal Lodge, the residence he has occupied for more than 2 decades. The palace communication, issued under the Crimson Seal of Royal Communications, was stark, unambiguous and final. His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles and honours of Prince Andrew, the statement began, ending a long simmering royal controversy that has cast a shadow over the House of Windsor for years. The man once known as His Royal Highness the Duke of York will henceforth be referred to simply as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, marking the end of his public life as a royal. A royal fall. Like no other royal watchers, have seen scandals before, divorces, affairs, political entanglements, but none as corrosive or as public as the long, slow collapse of Prince Andrew's standing. The decision to erase his princely identity, remove his royal privileges, and force him to surrender his Windsor estate represents the most severe punishment ever handed to a senior royal in modern British history. Insiders say the king's patience had finally run out. Despite years of quiet negotiations and behind-the-scenes pleas from family members to avoid further embarrassment, Andrew's refusal to step away from royal trappings and his ongoing insistence on innocence amid public outrage left the monarch with no constitutional choice, as one palace aide put it. "This is a monarchy fighting for its moral survival," said historian Dr. Eliza Farrow. For years, the public tolerated royal missteps, but in this new age of accountability, the idea that someone accused of serious misconduct could still enjoy royal privilege was simply untenable. End of the Royal Lodge era. Andrew's lease on Royal Lodge, the stately Georgian mansion nestled in Windsor Great Park, had long been a sore point. Signed decades ago under favourable terms, it allowed him to live there rent-free after extensive renovations. Critics branded it an insult to taxpayers, particularly after revelations that public funds had supported aspects of the estate's maintenance. Today, that chapter officially closes. According to the palace statement, formal notice has been served requiring Andrew to surrender the lease and move into alternative private accommodation. While the statement made no mention of where he will relocate, royal sources suggest the Duke, now Mr Mountbatten Windsor, has been offered temporary quarters in a smaller residence outside London. This is not exile, one official emphasised, but it is an unmistakable message. His royal life is over. Public reaction: anger, relief, vindication. As the news broke across British television networks and international outlets, reactions were swift and emotional. Crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace, some cheering, others shaking their heads in disbelief. "It's about time," said Marcia Hargreaves, 52, from Bristol. "Ordinary people would face justice, yet he's been living like nothing happened. Charles had to do this if he wants to save the monarchy." On social media, the announcement triggered an avalanche of commentary. The hashtags "Jar Andrew Out," "Jarkshire Royal Reckoning," and "Jar Mountbatten Windsor" trended within minutes. Some users mocked the fallen prince's new civilian name, while others expressed sympathy for the Queen's memory, noting how painful it would have been for her to see her son disgraced in this way. "From prince to pauper in one decree," one viral post read. "This is the moment Britain decided enough was enough." Political reverberations. At Westminster, the move sparked rare cross-party agreement. Prime Minister Eleanor Hughes, speaking during a press briefing, said she respected His Majesty's difficult decision and commended the King for upholding the integrity expected of the Crown. Opposition leader Gareth Nolan echoed those sentiments. "No one, however titled or powerful, should be above scrutiny or consequence." Behind the formal statements, however, political analysts detected deeper concerns about the monarchy's stability. With public trust eroding in institutions across the board, the royal family's internal crises now intersect with questions about its future role in a modern democracy. "This isn't just about Andrew," said political scientist Dr. Michael Latimer. "It's about whether the monarchy can survive the next decade without fundamental reform." Inside the palace, a family torn. Apart sources close to the royal household described an atmosphere of sadness and tension inside the palace. The king, they say, had wrestled for months with the moral and familial dilemma of punishing his own brother. "Charles delayed this as long as possible," said one insider, "but he came to believe that the institution, the crown itself, was being contaminated by association." Queen Camilla reportedly supported the move, emphasizing the need for discipline and dignity at a time when the monarchy's image was under unprecedented strain. Prince William is said to have privately urged his father to act decisively, telling him that future generations won't forgive silence. Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who have had their own clashes with the royal establishment, remained publicly silent. However, California sources indicated that Harry viewed the decision as a reckoning long overdue. The man now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. As of today, official records and communications will refer to him simply by his family surname, without royal style or precedence. The transformation from His Royal Highness to Mr Mountbatten Windsor symbolises more than a name change. It marks the erasure of his status. He will no longer represent the crown, receive official security, or perform any duties on behalf of the royal family. His royal charities and patronages, already suspended in previous years, are now dissolved. Observers noted the irony that Andrew, once celebrated as a dashing young naval officer and the Queen's favourite son, ends his public life in disgrace and isolation. The broader symbolism. The King's decision also serves as a warning to other royals. Immunity is over. The palace statement concluded with a pointed line. That closing sentence was widely interpreted as a deliberate moral stance, signalling that compassion lies not with the accused, but with the aggrieved. "It's one of the strongest moral statements we've ever seen from the palace," said commentator Ingrid Rowe. "It effectively disowns not just Andrew's behaviour, but the culture of silence that allowed it to go unchallenged for so long. Global reactions. Across the Atlantic, the news dominated American networks. US commentators described it as a moment of long-delayed accountability. Many contrasted the British monarchy's public apology with the continuing controversies surrounding other global elites linked to Jeffrey Epstein. In Australia and Canada, both Commonwealth realms, leaders praised the King's commitment to transparency. Yet Republican movements seized on the moment to renew calls for independence from the Crown. "This just proves the monarchy is outdated," said Australian Senator Kira Holt. "If this is what it takes to show accountability, then it's time to move on from royal rule altogether." Financial consequences. Andrew's financial situation is now under scrutiny. Without royal stipends or security funding, he faces significant costs to maintain his lifestyle, while he retains personal wealth and possible private support from family. His removal from royal estates and privileges will strain his finances. Reports suggest he may be forced to sell assets or downsize drastically. "He's not destitute," noted royal biographer Simon Kearney, "but the days of endless taxpayer support are over."
And that wraps our Daily Diaries updates. Harry and Meghan, always keep the world talking. And if you enjoy this update, do not forget to like, share, subscribe. And for more royalty served with honesty, just right here on Daily Diaries Friday. Till next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep shining. See you next time with more royal news and good vibe. Bye bye.